Thank you. Appreciate that. So how do you get your vendor list done? Okay. You could use Shoney, or you could have an accountability partner. However, start setting things up. Okay, meeting is beginning to be recorded. Continue. Okay, run a business. Market seller listings, show buyer house, negotiate contracts, transaction management to closing, vendor management, set goals, compliance, risk management. That's probably my biggest challenge. Attend training and get coaching. Manage your money. Ooh, that is important because remember, as 1099 people, the federal government is going to come after you for a lot of taxes. And some of you may get successful early, and then all of a sudden you spend it all. And then on April 15th, your accountant says, now all you need to do is write out a $17,326 check to the because you're in America and we tax everybody, okay? It doesn't make sense how much tax you pay, but truly, as a 1099, be aware of that. So set money aside for taxes in a totally separate savings account. It will do two things. One, if you set, let's just say 15% aside. At the end of the year, when your taxes are done, you have that money, you pay your taxes, you go. At the end of the year, you have that money, you pay your taxes, but it was only a third of what you thought it was going to be. And now look at all that money you have. You can give it to your spouse and say, see, this is free money for you. Okay, you will get brownie points. All right. Manage your money. Are we going anywhere? Okay, so grow your business, run your business. All right, let's see what the next one says. There you go. All right, this is it right here. The end. Matter of fact, once you're finished reading this, we can be done. This is it. People do not decide their futures. Isn't that so true? And we're all enough that this statement is ferociously painful because they decide their habits, and their habits decide their futures. So when you come here and you start your daily routine, what is it? If you have a daily routine, how do you know what your daily routine is? And when you don't have a daily routine, you come to work. And then what do? Find a cubicle or a collaborative area. Do you realize that we have collaborative areas up on the second floor? And I am not allowed to sit in them. They tell me I'm too old. Only young people sit in collaborative areas. Okay. I have to be at a cubicle, okay, or a conference room, because nobody else will sit in the collaborative area if I'm there, because then they're thinking it's a rest area for old people. So yes, so if you're in a collaborative area, what do? What's your daily routine? What is your habit? What are your, not what is your habits? What are your habits becoming? Because as a new agent, unfortunately, you have all this freedom. And you really need, here, let's see here. You really need to have habits. Now, the hard part is we can make things look pretty. But the question is, do you follow them? All right, so here's my week, okay? Technology has helped significantly, hasn't it? Because not only can you create a calendar, you also can throw in appointments that happen and switch what was in that time slot. So it's very easy to do that, okay? What does your calendar look like? And when do you create it? And how do you create it? Okay, so let me, oh, look at that. Overview. What are the key activities that need to be in your calendar? Okay, 8 to 8:30 motivation building time. And I'm okay with that. I mean, that's about 2.5 hours too late, but I'm okay with that. All right. One of my fun things to do is one of my claims to fame, in case anybody wants to know how famous I am. One of my claims to fame is I've never used an alarm clock in my entire life. I'm usually up by 5 because I can lay there from 4:30 to 5 and just go, what do I do? What do I do? Okay, so I'm usually up by 5. Now that my children are grown-ups, what I really like to do every twice in a while is send them a text at 4:45 or 5:10, just to tell them I care, because I know that they are young enough to look at that text 5:10 in the morning, and they don't respond. I don't take it personally, okay? Because why? It's just my way of being a dad, you know, those dad jokes, yeah. And it's something stupid that I send them at 5:10 in the morning. But what else do you do with your children when you're trying to pay back from all the pain they caused you, right? So it's fun, okay? So I look at that at 8:30 and I'm going, oh my and heck, okay, really? That's how long? But that's okay. Remember, independent contractors, 8 to 8:30, 8:30 to 11, daily success habits. Now I'm going to share with you a daily success habit, and I should have done this prior to my admin walking in and watching me teach, because the daily success habit is to lead generate. And I do that almost every day. And everyone can turn around and say hi to Brittany, because I just lied. Because I try to do that. Brittany's my admin. I try to do that every day. And let me tell you, it is hard. And it is, for me, it isn't hard because I'm afraid to call people or talk to people. It's just a habit that you have to get into. And depending on your personality, it's really hard. Because I breed squirrels because my attention span is so short. And I even give my squirrels shiny objects so that I can be distracted twice as fast. So lead generating is hard because all of a sudden one of my friends walks into KW. And I go, why should I lead generate when I can talk to Carla, okay? Or Nova Lee. Well, Nova Lee's my friend, but whenever I get sent to Nova Lee's office, it's because I did something bad, okay? So I didn't sign a document or didn't fill out something. So yes, that's the challenge that we have, right? Lead generating. Now, lead generating is an interesting thing because for some people, if you don't have something to talk to your friends or sphere of influence about, what do? So I'm thinking, and this week, Brittany is making me, okay, call people that I have invited to my little pumpkin party that I'm having next week. And so I have something to talk to them about. However, I also want to talk to them about business. And something else happened to me this week that makes me excited, and I can't wait for the rest of the story on what happened to me this week, because I'm going to use the first half when I talk to people, and I'm hoping the second half of the story is going to be even that much more exciting, so I get more excited about being able to talk to people. So when I first got into business, I had a seasoned real estate agent tell me, buyers are liars and sellers are too. Oh, isn't that sad? I am a seasoned real estate agent, and I completely disagree with that. I believe that buyers and sellers engage in a process called real estate, that they don't do it often enough, that they don't understand the process and the rules. So you will forever be needed. So I farm a geographical area, and I pass out Bart Anthony propaganda. And I had somebody call me this week and wanted to do a BPO. They just texted me and said, Bart, I'm sure you know what a BPO is. Do you do those? And I'm thinking, I have no idea what a BPO is. Okay, I had to think and think and think and think and think. Broker price opinion, which we would call a CMA. but the financial industry out there calls it a broker price opinion. So what is the broker, somebody licensed and should have at least a good idea because of what they do for a living, what is their opinion of the price of your home? So he texted me, and he's got my information because of this geographic area that I send out information on. And I got all excited because I thought maybe he might want to list his house. However, that just doesn't happen. People just don't call you up and say, come and list my house. Okay, they do. They really do. When you're in the business for a long time and you stay in contact with your people. But they also call you for other reasons. And I do a broker's price opinion, how to tell. And he said, well, I live near 200 South, and I want to know the value of my house because I want to eliminate mortgage insurance premium. So I looked him up on county records, and he does live near that street. I guess he didn't want to give me his address, but there are no secrets in the 21st century. So I found out his address. I communicated back and forth enough to build a rapport with him. And I talked to him, and he said he visited with his bank. His bank is send out a broker to do a broker's price opinion. And banks do that as opposed to letting you do your own broker price opinion. He's reaching out to his bank to see if I can be the broker that does the broker price opinion. I did send him comparables to his house. And he is just, if you do enough crunches and you hold your breath, just enough value to have 20% equity in his home. And if you have 20% equity, then you can eliminate, and you show that documentation to the bank and they consider it valid documentation, then you can eliminate your mortgage insurance. So the comparables that I sent him do show that he has 20% equity in his home. He's going to visit with his bank. If he can eliminate his mortgage insurance premium, the reason I am so excited about this is he bought his home 6 months ago. August, September, October. 7 months ago. He bought his home 7 months ago. So if he put 3% down. Now, there are two things that go across my mind as a seasoned real estate agent. One is normally banks want you to wait for at least 1 year before they reassess the value of your home. And then the second is if they will take a broker price opinion and they won't wait 1 year, I am on top of this, because if that happens, oh my and heck. Because what it does for me is it allows me between 8:30 and 11:30 to lead generate. And when I call up anybody that I know and I ask them for real estate, I also can say, oh, by the way, I'm doing an incredible pumpkin event. I'm hoping you'll come. I noticed that I sent you an invitation and you hadn't completed it yet. And number two, as you know, I am looking for anybody that knows someone that's looking to buy or sell a house. However, the real reason I called is if you have mortgage insurance on your house or know somebody that does, if you will have them reach out to me or give me their name and number, text me their name and number, I will reach out to them, because I just helped a friend of mine eliminate mortgage insurance after living in their house for only 7 months and having only put 3% down. Isn't that powerful? And if his mortgage insurance is $220 or $1, he just saved $175 a month by eliminating his mortgage insurance. Brittany, did you need to visit? Good, I like it. Does that make sense? So look for reasons you can talk to your sphere of influence, because it makes it easier. All right. All right. So I'm going to digress on this for just a minute and tell you one of the biggest, most important things that you need to understand is that you have value. And I don't mean that your mom loves you and thinks you're the cutest child on the planet. Okay. I mean, you have value as a real estate agent. And you have to know that because you can't fake that. And so it's very important. I had somebody that I showed homes probably 5 years ago, maybe a little longer, showed homes over the weekend, and it just went great. She loved every house I showed her, and I thought, oh, this is going to be fantastic. She went back to California. She was going to come the next weekend, bring her husband, and I was going to find them a house within 2 hours. They were going to sign it and live happily ever after. On Monday, her husband called me, emailed me, and said, thanks for showing my wife homes. I sold my own home in California. Why should I use you when I come to Utah to look for a home? Okay, so my question to you, and it's rhetorical, why should somebody use you as a real estate agent? I really never had to articulate it because he's in California and I had to respond to the email. So I started with, I like people. I have a billboard. People like me. Holy crap, this isn't getting me anywhere. So I really have to stop and think, what is my value to a buyer? Now, some interesting things. Remember my seasoned real estate agent friend who said buyer? Totally disagree. Question is, what is your value? I would say if you were to do an ad hoc survey with any 10 of your friends and just say, answer this question, there is not a wrong answer. Question is, how much does it cost you to use a real estate when you're purchasing a home? I would say 8 out of 10 of them would give you some dollar amount. It normally costs them nothing. But when they don't know that, and okay, now this is where I'm going to depress. Here I did all this warm and fuzzy and good stuff, and you guys are feeling great about being agents. And now I'm just going to dash you to the ground. And guess what? Psh, you're a salesman. Oh man, how many people? Nobody. Nobody likes salespeople. Okay? So now you just visited with your friend and they think you're going to cost them a lot of money and they know you're a real estate agent, so they know you're a salesperson. Now they're never going to get rid of you. You will just bug them and bug them and bug them. Then they're going to block your number and they're going to, okay, are you ready? They're going to unfriend you on Facebook and Instagram. How painful is that? Okay? With that said, that is why you have to understand that you get to educate them. Remember, I feel that buyers and sellers engaged in real estate seldom enough that they don't understand the entire process. So you can educate them and say, I can do all this for you for free. And they're going to say, what's the catch? No catch. There is no catch. Now, if you're looking for a letter to send to people right now, say, hey, do you know of anybody that's trying to buy a house? I could help them for free. And the best way to get that person to put you in touch with their friend who's looking to buy is say the most successful way I have found in helping people is that if you know someone that wants to buy a house and I can do it for free, if you'll put the three of us on a text thread and just say, hey, Cindy, I just wanted to introduce you to Bart. He's a real estate agent. And he told me he'd be happy to help you find your house, help you buy a house for free. And then you take it over from there. So if you're looking for something to send out to your SOI, why not start with an education process letter? As in, did you know that it doesn't cost anything to use me? Okay. You have to get a hold of your SOI. All right. You have to. Okay. In hindsight, if I had something to do all over again, and my biggest challenge is because of the squirrels and the shiny objects, I'm also not detail oriented. My recommendation would be that you start a detailed database of everybody that you know. Your database is king. Now, I've been in this over 15 years. Imagine if I had kept a detailed database, how big my database would be. And all those people would know me. And if I had stayed in touch with them. But I'm not even going down that rabbit hole, which is a very important and good one. I'm just saying right now, start making a list. So on your daily routine, somewhere around here, okay, maybe daily success habits, first 30 minutes is write down 10 people that I know that aren't in my database that I can add to my database. Your database is king. It will get you more money than anything else. Because don't people like doing business with people they know? Yeah. So, and the funny part is I can ask you to write down 10 people, and you do. And then you will go to lunch today and run into one of your friends from college, from high school, from your old neighborhood, and will open up a brain cell of where you're going, yep, where you're going, oh, I didn't put Steve on my database, in my database. But it isn't only Steve when you see him. That isn't the only name you remember. Now that he took you down that memory bank, you can think of 5 other people that you wouldn't have thought to put on your database if you hadn't run into Steve. So grow your database. Grow your database. Name, rank, and serial number. Get it all. Grow your database. Okay? All right, you get to do lunch, 11:30, 12:30. Run business activities. Now, one of those things, this one up here. Now, this one up here is going to be done the more excited you get about what you're going to do. If you plan ahead and you have a real reason to call, to door knock, to do whatever you're going to do, it makes that hard part easier. For example, my real reason, I can't wait till this guy tells me that the bank eliminated his mortgage insurance premium. Because to do that in 7 months, having only put 3% down, what does that tell you about the value of your home? But how many more people can I save money for? And in the process, I'm hoping they know someone that wants to buy our. Okay, so lead with value. All right. So when you're doing this, or when you're doing this, running your business with activities, the hard part is you become reactionary. And when someone says, oh, can I go look at houses tomorrow? Sometimes you go, yeah, what time works for you? And they go, what about 9 o'clock till 11:30? If you do 9 to 11:30, it's much harder to lead generate in the afternoon because your day gets away from you. But if you have that in your calendar and you go, oh, would 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock work for you? I have an appointment at 9. I can't because I'm busy calling people. So what other time works for you, lady? Okay, really, really? But they run a life too. They have children, they have spouses, they have a business. So when you say I have an appointment, it makes sense to them. So try to protect this time to do what you need to do. All right. 12:30, run your business activities, negotiating contracts. 2:30 to 4:30, grow the business activity, previewing real estate, making seller presentations, meet with clients. Let's talk about seller presentation. My friend, mentor, Lee Stern, and the tragedy is Lee's getting old enough that she's going to retire one of these days, really. I love Lee. Lee is kind of the female Peter Morkel on steroids, okay? Lee is short. Lee has a few extra pounds. Lee loves Keds sneakers. That's all she wears. And when she goes to the awards banquet at the end for Keller Woods, Utah, she has Keds with sequins on them because that's all she wears. Okay, Lee smokes. And she works really hard to make sure she doesn't smell like smoke when she's working with clients. Lee is a beast. Lee is a beast. I love Lee so much that in my phone, if I say call Bob Smith, Siri will say mean Robert Smith? Because that's how I have him in my phone. If I ask Siri, to call Lee Stern, my phone will repeat to me and say, do you mean the amazing Lee Stern? Because that's how I have her in my phone. A lot of things that I love about Lee. One, she has systems. She leads generate. I was on a Zoom training meeting that Lee was attending also, whether it was for CE, I don't know, but there were 70 of us on that Zoom meeting. And I watched Lee. And on this Zoom meeting, while she was paying attention to somebody teach her so she could get her CE, she was writing thank you cards. Because that's what Lee does. She does what needs to be done consistently, systematically, so that she gets business. She memorizes her scripts. Okay? So I'm going to get on a script soapbox real quick since I used that dirty word, okay? And help you guys understand. All right? If I were to tell you, I am going to give you the 10 most frequent, common asked questions asked by bot, the answer, 10 questions. Do you want to know those answers? That is the problem. Scripts were misnamed. Scripts are not scripts. That's the problem. And since we call them scripts, everyone goes, it's not me. Every time you look and see the word script, you need to change it to answer. When someone says, will you cut your commission? If I were Lee Stern, I would say, no. Any other questions? Is there any reason why, after all I've shared with you and the value of your home that we've discussed, you wouldn't want to list with me tonight? I can't think of one. Okay. But what about your commission, Lee? Oh, I don't cut my commission. And so I appreciate you asking that. So if there's no other reason why you wouldn't list with me tonight, here, press hard. There are 4 copies. Okay. She is so good. Okay. All right. Well, you know what, Lee? We're thinking about selling our home ourselves. And I love it when Lee goes into script mode or answer mode, okay? Because her whole voice and presentation changes. And she goes, oh, Scott, can I tell you why that's probably not a good idea? Now, already you're sitting across from a professional, because that's what we are. You called her to your house to give you advice about real estate. You told her you were going to sell it yourself. And she just all of a sudden, out of nowhere, got deathly serious with you. Now your heart's racing because you're going, oh, my gosh, I must have said something really wrong because she's going to tell me why that isn't a good idea. And your heart's racing. And then she explains to you why that isn't a good idea because she memorized the answer to that, because that's a very common question. And you realize she's right. And after all, when she did knock on the door at 7 o'clock exactly, because that's what time your appointment was, when you opened the door to let her in, you noticed her real estate sign leaning up against your entryway on the outside of your door on your front porch. What? And now she's telling you why doing for sale by owner isn't going to work? Well, her sign's there. She's saying all the right answers to my questions. Okay, there's only one way I can stop her. Scott, are you married? Yes. What's your wife's name? Amber? Okay. So Scott looks at his wife and says, you know what? I think we should list with Steve. And Amber goes, you know what, Scott? We really need to pray about it. Lee says, do you want to offer the prayer or should I love her boldness. I love Lee. I love Lee. Why? Because she's the consummate professional and she doesn't make excuses for not getting her work done. I've watched her as a team leader in the Murray office have agents report to her about assignments they were going to do. And when they don't get them done, she is direct with them. And she can read people pretty well. And if she hurts their feelings, she will say, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings because it isn't about how I feel about you because I like you. But you committed to me that you would contact 10 people yesterday and you didn't. That disappoints me. I love her because she is committed to what she commits herself to. And that is critical in the daily routine of a real estate agent. The challenge we have right now as you guys start your business is that we can grow terrible habits. So you need to organize your day. All right, set weekly and daily objectives. Okay, 411. How do your weekly goals translate into daily objectives? We're doing 411 last lesson. Supposedly the last one was 411, okay? 411, your annual goals, your monthly goals, your weekly goals. And there's no way you're getting here. What is this, October something? You're not getting there by December 31st. If you finally look at the goals you set last November 29th for 2021, if you finally look at them October 12th or 13th, whatever today is, October 13th, you're not getting there. It's not going to happen. That's why when you make annual goals, you have to break it down. And then you break it to weekly goals. And here's the challenge with weekly goals. They get broken down to daily goals. So at the end of the day today, tomorrow morning when you wake up and you're sitting at your desk at your 8 to 8:30, remember that time? The first question I want you to, whether it's electronically or whether it's really old-fashioned piece of paper wise, because you have a little notebook and you do this, first question you ask yourself tomorrow morning is, and you copy and paste this on every day, based on my performance from yesterday, would I hire me today? The second question you ask yourself is, based on my performance yesterday, how much would I pay me? And if you don't like those answers to those two questions, then you look at your daily schedule for today and you say, I'm getting headphones. I'm going in a prospecting. Isn't it interesting in a prospecting booth, they have a little you're talking about? You walk in upstairs, we have them all over, okay? You walk in, it's just a little square cubicle, okay? Well, a little square booth. It really looks like, now I'm really showing my age. It looks like a phone booth, and I don't know if anybody, okay, you'll have to Google it, okay? Looks like a phone booth, okay? And it has a glass window, okay? Dean, our broker, is telling me those glass windows that we have in our office are not used to hold contracts up and copy the buyer's or seller's signature on documents. I never knew that. I thought when you're missing his signature, that's why we had glass windows in our office. But apparently the Division of Real Estate frowns on that. So please don't do that, okay? So you have a prospecting booth. Do you ever notice when you walk in, the counter's right there, there's a wall right there, but it does have a mirror. But the glass door is behind you, so you don't get distracted. So if you do not answer those two questions from yesterday's performance, and you weren't very excited, you need to grab yourself by the nape of the neck and say, I get to spend 1 hour from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock doing what I promised myself that I was going to do. And the reason I only say 1 hour is because 4 hours is too long. If you're going to run a marathon, and I say, okay, let's just start, okay? What we'll do is everyone meet here tomorrow morning at 5. and we'll just run 10 miles, okay? Because the marathon is 6 weeks. We're gonna do what? Yeah, we're gonna run 10 miles, okay? Because we have to get to 26.2. And I figure the best way to get 26.2 is do 10 tomorrow, which is what, Thursday? And then do 15, and then run 20 miles on Saturday. Then next week when we do the marathon, we can easily do 26.1. That's why I'm saying, if you're not happy with the answer to those two questions, you get in a prospecting booth from 9 o'clock, 1 hour is all, and you perform, whatever that looks like to you. And whether the performing, I have to plan out my calendar. Even if it's just that, because I don't like calling people. I taught Ignite a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago at my age, time goes by fast. I taught Ignite, and there was somebody here, two somebodies, one that did it and the other one that agreed with him. He would rather knock doors than call his sphere of influence. And aren't we all wired different? Okay, I can guarantee you I'm wired different than Dan Kennedy. Does anyone know Dan Kennedy in our office? He's a tall, skinny guy, and he doesn't talk a lot. I want to be like Dan Kennedy when I grow up, but it doesn't work. Okay, it just doesn't work. It's so sad. Okay, so we're all different. All right. And this person would rather knock doors and talk to strangers than call his sphere of influence. And because it boggled my mind, I asked him why. And then once again, this other person agreed. And he said, because I would rather talk to strangers than people I know about me being in real estate. Okay. What that tells me is that you absolutely have to turn that around and understand the value you have. And your value comes from the fact that you are doing something, you have learned something, you have become professional in something that people don't do on a regular basis. And so you can help them. The person that called me about a broker's price opinion, I can do that for them. And they are so happy that I'm doing that for them. You better believe I'm going to ask them for business. Okay? So, understand that you have value. Part of understanding you have value is know what you're doing. Another recommendation that I have is each morning at 9 o'clock, or I would say 9 o'clock would be fine, when you start your prospecting, each morning read one paragraph of the real estate purchase contract. One paragraph of the real estate purchase. Because when you went to real estate school, it is deer in the headlights, honestly. All you were trying to do was get past that test. And the test has nothing to do with real estate. I'm going, really? Okay, let me rephrase that. It has nothing to do with earning a living in real estate. It has an awful lot to do with real estate law. But honestly, the practical day-to-day, how do I earn money so I can feed my family? It's not there. And so you passed. But what does paragraph 8 of the real estate purchase contract say? Due diligence. Do you know what I love about paragraph 8? It says that the buyer, and here's the golden phrase. Can I tell you that there's a buyer out there that you're working with that knows this? That's why you're so dang smart. RTS, right? Read the screen, okay? That's all. I mean, honestly, be really smart if you read the screen, because most people don't read the screen. They just accept the terms and conditions. Isn't that what happens? Okay, paragraph 8, the buyer, comma, at the buyer's sole discretion, can cancel this contract. What do I cancel it? Like, do I have to not like the house? Does the plumbing at your soul? Why don't you like? Why are you canceling the contract? Because the sky's blue, the grass is green. Because I want to. Do you know that that's in paragraph 8? How about finance and appraisal deadline? Oh, that just makes me warm and fuzzy. Why? Because you all know that as long as we cancel the contract by 5 p.m. on the due diligence deadline, they get their earnest money back, don't they? They don't even need the seller's permission, do they? They absolutely do not. But The secret second due diligence deadline you get your money back is the finance and appraisal deadline. Because the finance deadline says prior to the finance and appraisal deadline, the buyer may, okay, here comes this phrase, it's just heavenly. The buyer's sole discretion, cancel this contract. Now, the reason the Utah State Division of Real Estate used that phrase even in the finance side is because it used to say that we as agents to get a letter from the buyer's lender saying the buyer doesn't qualify. The committee that was rewriting the real estate purchase contract, and it was a committee of 8, said, how many, because 6 of them were realtors, okay? How many of you can get a letter from a lender saying you didn't qualify for your loan? All 8 of them raised their hand. So when they rewrote the contract, the real estate purchase contract, they said, why are we going to require a letter that says you don't qualify? Because you can get it just by inhaling and exhaling. So that's the way they used at the buyer's sole discretion. Second thing that buyers want to know, maybe the first thing that buyers want to know most is, am I going to lose my earnest money? Isn't money important to people? So as a professional, when you tell them, do you know what? When you hire me, I have a fiduciary and a responsibility to have your best interest in mind. One of my jobs is to protect your money, especially your earnest money. So I promise you that you will get 100% of your earnest money back whenever you work with me to write up a contract to buy a house. And if there comes a time when your earnest money isn't going to come back to you, I will tell you prior to then that, are we ready to go forward and your earnest money is going to be lost forever? Or do you want right now for me to fill out a form and get you your earnest money back? My job is to protect your interests. And I know money is important to you. So I'm going to protect your earnest money. That's why you hire me, because I'm the professional. Do you feel like a professional? Do you have the tools in your toolbox to be a professional? If you don't, think about what I've shared with you. Nothing overly complicated. Read one paragraph of the real estate purchase contract a day. And you'll go, I never knew it said that. Of course you didn't, because they just gave you so much information to get your test that all you did was want to get your test passed. So now when you read it because you need to know it, now you know it. Because when you're done reading the last paragraph, guess what I want you to do? Reread it. Now, I try to make it a goal to read the real estate purchase contract once a year. In April of this year, I read the entire real estate purchase contract, all 6 pages, word for word, on a Saturday. Can I tell you why? Sure, I will tell you why anyway, even if you shake your head. I happened to go and visit a client that was referred to me by a friend, and it was a grandma and grandpa. They had put an offer on a for sale by owner, and they had asked me to come over and tell them the value of their home because they were considering listing with me. And they were really nervous about the contract that they had put together for the for sale by owner, because these kitchen tables deals don't go as smoothly as you. And the husband was diametrically opposite than me. He was very analytical and very detail oriented. And so we started with word 1 of paragraph 1 of the real estate purchase contract. And 2.5 hours later and 6 pages later, he felt a lot more comfortable about the contract that he had written up, seller that he was going to go hand it to when we were done visiting. Do you know how much other things I had to do on Saturday for 2.5 hours? Yeah. So I do a market analysis. I come back to his house on Monday, and he was a grandpa, so he had grown kids, 5 grown kids in the area. One of them had just bought an Alpine. And he visited with me and he said, my kids said, I really shouldn't use you because this is something you can do yourself, Dad. I said, I can respect that. He said, but you know, on Saturday, when you helped us feel very comfortable about that house we're buying, I said to myself, I need to use Bart. Put his house on the market on Thursday. By Friday at 5 p.m., he called me up and said, I don't want my house shown one more time. It had been shown 35 times, 13 offers. Saturday, I sat down and visited with him and his wife, dissected 13 offers. Oh my and heck. Do you think he could have done that by himself and done it to his best interest? Absolutely no way. Do you see the value that you bring when you come and you sit and you talk? You can only have that value, though, if you read a paragraph of the real estate purchase contract every day, so that when you decipher those 13 offers, you know which ones to keep and which ones to get rid of. When it was all said and done, they loved me like the consummate real estate professional they always dreamed of having helped them get into their home. I went and visited with them after they moved into their new home, and they couldn't be happier. Okay, this is a grandma and grandpa. And anybody has a grandma and grandpa knows grandma and grandpa's worried. It's what old people do. And they're old. And so they're not as fast as you. And the thought of emptying an entire house full of furniture and moving it to another house just seems so overwhelming. The offer that they decided to take, $35,000 above list price.
Look what I found in this book.
Cash. Okay.
Pirates. I found pirates.
2 days seller disclosure.
Pirate, I think, has a weapon like a sword.
5 days diligence.
And look what this pirate weapon was. A gun.
Shell, did you know your mic is on?
I didn't know my mic was on. You probably heard my little boy talking about his book. Sorry.
I like books. I like books. Okay. 5 days due diligence. 7 days close. Cash. Okay. 35,000 above list price. Matter of fact, it was 560, I think, was the price of the home. All right. Oh, and by the way, they couldn't move into their house until the end of, this is April, until the middle of June. 7 day close. Possession 2 days after they close on their house in the middle of June. So here you have a grandma and grandpa who are finally getting enough money on limited income to buy their dream home. And the person that wants to buy it from them is willing to close in 7 days. Do you realize they have cash in their bank? Do you know how much better they're going to be able to sleep? Oh, and they don't have to do a double move. Now, that buyer's agent helped me look really good, didn't it? Okay, because I couldn't control that buyer. But I was sure glad that buyer came along. And I was glad to decipher the 13 offers, of which 3 of them were $30,000 to $35,000 over list. See the value that you have? It was not convenient for me to read every word of the real estate purchase contract that Saturday morning, but it paid dividends. All right, 411, now's a good time to be doing this. What do you look like 14 months from now? What is your GCI, gross commission income? How many people do you have in your database? How many buyers have you put under contract? How many sellers have you put under contract? Just those simple questions. And what you do is you write them down as your annual goal for next year. And the neat part about doing it right now, you have 8 weeks. Technically, let's pretend that I was so impactful teaching Ignite, all right, that you start today becoming the agent you want to be December 31st, 2022, which means you have 10 weeks to get ready to go. That is just about the perfect amount of time to get out of your own head and get into real estate and be ready to go, to hit the floor running on January 1. Because you really do have to start that engine, and you have to warm it up, and you have to get it going. And if you have no annual goals, and then you have no monthly goals, and you have no weekly goals, when you come in on Monday, what are you going to do? Hope Bart teaches Ignite again, because I'd rather do that. People. Okay. 20% of your effort, your big rocks. Okay. 80% of your results. That is so true. But if you don't know what your big rocks are, you're in trouble. How do you hit a target you do not have? Okay, set your objective. Translate your weekly goals into daily objectives. And that's the whole point. And when you set them, I mean, my calendar looks cool. Did I show that to you? Yeah. Why? Because I have it, right? Do you follow it? That is why I have a Brittany. I know me too well. And even Brittany, even Brittany has to work hard to get me to stay on task. Okay. Now, let me show you. Let's see here. Okay, my phone closed off way too quick. So this is my wife. Okay. Okay. Can you see her? This is my wife. Okay. Now, when I start my class, sometimes I will show this and say, we have 2 hours. We can talk about real estate for 2 hours, or we can talk about Cheryl for 2 hours. Either one, I won't repeat myself, but I'd rather talk about Cheryl for 2 hours. Okay. The reason I bring her up is because sometimes she'll slip a Benadryl in my meatloaf for dinner, and then I'm quiet all night long. I think that's spousal abuse, but then she's sitting there reading her book, Love and Life, and I'm going, and I'm apologizing because I'm not the vivacious me that I think I am. She's so happy, all right? That is the challenge that we all have, some of us, at 8:30 to 11:30, to stay focused and get our work done. When I tell you Brittany has a hard time making me stay focused and getting my work done, she does. She does. So it doesn't come easy. All right. Database. Let's talk about these people, okay? Do you know how many people are fun people up here? Okay, all of them except one, but I don't know which one isn't fun, okay? One of my favorites, okay? Angie Fisher, okay? I love Angie. Angie was the manager of Village Inn before she came to real estate 4 years ago. And when she was in Ignite class and they said you had to have a database of 200 people, there isn't a guy in this room that's gonna think what I'm about to tell you. Angie said, oh, that's how many people I invited to my wedding. I have a database of 200 people. Okay, to be honest, I have no idea how they even got to my wedding, okay? Because I didn't invite anybody. All right, my wife did. So she created a database and she lived and died by her database. As I've gotten to know her better, her mom told her that GED stands for good enough degree. Angie Fisher did not graduate from high school. Angie Fisher is on track this year to have GCI, gross commission income, of $500,000. Isn't that phenomenal? Isn't that wonderful? She is amazing. And all she does is go to Ignite and follow systems and implement them. She works. A manager at Village Inn came over here and probably went from a $60,000 a year salary in 4 years to $500,000. Oh my and heck. Isn't that wonderful? Absolutely, absolutely wonderful. I love that girl. Okay. Translate your weekly goals into daily objectives. Daily, you've got to get it done. Okay. Look, time blocking, right? The big rocks. You've got to do time blocking on the big rocks. Okay. There is so much information at your fingertips. Okay, create accountability. That one's hard. Be accountable. Accountable to, I don't know who. Accountability is a tool for achieving goals. Accountability is a dynamic cycle, not a static concept. Accountability is critical where we're 1099. Who's your accountability partner? That is rhetorical. You know, I told you scripts have the wrong name. Okay, your database. First, your calendar. Second, your database. Well, really, your database. Then your calendar. Practice your answers and find somebody that will help you be accountable. It's too easy. Yes.
Do you have certificates you share with us?
Do you know, that is a good question.
Hear all about scripts from my team has some, but I'm like, I would love to get other.
That's funny you would say that, because when I got this little folder, because I printed this out in case I need it, you know, if the computer goes down, then what do you do, right? When I got that book out of my cubby, which is, I have an office in Pleasant Grove. When I got that book out of my cubby, I pulled out the Ignite scripts book. And I said, I need to bring this. And then I didn't. I know. So electronically, look up Ignite. It will have all the scripts you ever needed, but were afraid to ask. Okay? Mm-hmm. Yep. Google scripts, and it'll be there. Okay? Another interesting thing is, I don't know what his name is, something Shaw, I think, but pivot, shift, pivot, okay? Or pivot shift, I think is what, all right? When coronavirus happened, everybody geared up for the market to crash. And so they said, you're gonna have to shift, you're gonna have to pivot. There is a Keller Williams Facebook post called Shift Pivot, or Pivot Shift, one or the other. And they go live every day, I think, at 8 a.m. Eastern time, which is 6 a.m. our time. So there's no reason why you couldn't be on there if you didn't want to. I mean, if you wanted to be. Right now, they are doing 12 weeks of how to get listings every Wednesday. Now they record them on the Shift Pivot, and you can listen to them. I just listened to a 34-minute video on how to get your sphere of influence engaged in what you're doing to help you sell real estate. And there were 3 people on there. One that sold 20 million in real estate, one that sold 60 million in real estate, and another one sold 60 million in real estate. And they talked about how to get people engaged in what you're doing. Those are the videos that you want to watch. So when you have free time, instead of looking at NFL stats, okay, instead of looking at do it yourself, instead of being on Pinterest, look up videos on how to increase my business. It's everywhere. It is everywhere. Okay, accountability. This is rhetorical. Who's going to be your accountability partner? Who are you going to report to? And that's hard. And the reason it's hard is because we fall short. so we don't want to tell anyone. And if you don't have an accountability partner and you need one, hunt Shoni down, because that's a safe place. Okay, a very safe place. Because don't you want to be an Angie Fisher? Don't you want $500,000 in GCI? Okay. So many incredible people. Let me see if I can find them. Who was it? Everybody here. Jennifer Jorgensen, she always amazes me because she's a solo agent and she does everything. She even responds to any question anyone asks on KW Facebook. I think, how do you find that time? Oh my and heck, right? But who am I looking? This is Dan Kennedy, by the way. He is just so good at what he does. This is this leader, Johnny, remember? No, you don't remember when Johnny was, but I'm trying to look for, here's my friend Peter Morkel, remember? I was looking for Alicia Jensen, but I can't find her. Alicia Jensen does Provo, Northeast Provo. That's all she does, the end. And she will give a seminar just like this. And she said, there isn't a baby shower, a bridal shower, a friend's barbecue that I'm invited to that I do not attend. And she just knocks it out of the park. This one right here, you never see her. Sue Ann Hoffman, she is a beast. Okay, 86 listings last year. And she is just methodical. Thank you cards, sympathy cards. Sorry your spouse died. Can I come and list your house today? No, I mean, she's more tactful. Okay, I mean, honestly. But once again, and then I don't think it was Stan, but I can give Stan the credit, okay? I don't think it was Stan, but I'm still giving him the credit. Look at Agent of the Month. And they're always closing 10 deals, 17 deals. Oh, I know what was that. It was that team guy. Stan is a soldier. This one right here, right? Sid Malone. Oh my and heck. Look her up on Facebook. Whatever she shoots up with in the morning, I want some. Okay. She's a congressman. She's a council person for Pleasant Grove, but she loves her job. And it shows. The energy in her Facebook posts about open houses are incredible. Okay, Sid Malone is her name. On and on. All right, you've got to have an account. So there are about 5 things that I talked to you about, remember? Have a calendar and stick to it. Grow your database, because some of you don't realize that you're going to blink and you've been in the business 5 years. Did you capitalize on every person you came in contact with that you can become friends with? Because then you don't have to cold call ever, because you just reach out to your sphere of influence. Okay, how cool is that? All right, practice the answers to everything. Do your 411 and your daily goals. If you go 9 days and you haven't even moved the needle on your daily goals, you need to go in the prospecting room when no one's there and look in that mirror and go, okay, wait a minute. I am not only failing myself, but there's somebody that loves me that I'm falling short on. And if I were to tell Tim Ferriss, you cannot, you're a liar, you can't do the 4-hour work week. You are a big, fat, hairy liar. Tim Ferriss will just send me 5,000 emails of people that worked every single day of their life, read his book, and turned it into the 4-hour work week. And I'd be going, dang it, he isn't a liar. Okay? How many people up there? And don't kid yourself. It is the good make it look easy, but that's because you don't see them writing thank you notes, responding to Facebook posts or Instagram posts, growing their database. That's all behind the scenes. So in teaching, when you see, listen to the real estate millionaire agent, okay? It just kills me because they'll talk about a concept like having a system. And then they'll say, Samantha Davis, Cincinnati, Ohio, sales volume, 137 million. You know, I just want to smack her. Honestly, I just want to, 137 million? How in the world do you do 137 million? But it's just amazing. And then the next example they use, and they go, Tom Richardson, Bozeman, Montana, sales volume, 42 million. What? What is he doing that I'm not doing? Okay, showing up. Okay, getting organized. He has an accountability partner. All right, accountability. Share your goals, plan your check-ins, make a date. And no, it isn't talking about with your sweetheart, okay? All right, make a date. Okay, so let me really hit on scripts real quick, and then I'm gonna, let me see how many more videos we have. Okay, this is what it is. It's this simple. Look, okay, how many times do people do simple? People do simple all the time, but that doesn't mean simple is easy. The one thing, focus, focus. So if you say my goal for the month of October is to have an accountability partner, that's your only goal for October, then you write these things down, and by the end of October, you accomplish it. That means every morning you look at this, and by hell, by criminy, by the end of October, you have it done. This is not impossible. So do it. I way back when I was Scott's age, I worked for a title company. And I would come in, and every day one of the escrow officers was sitting behind his desk. Okay, and this is really going to show my age. He had a Franklin day planner. And every day he had it opened up to the first section, not the calendar part of it, but to the first section. Every day. Every day. I finally asked him, every time I come back here, past your office in the morning when I get ready, office, you have your day planner open. What are you doing? Because that's all you do is have your day planner open. He showed me. He has an amortization schedule of his mortgage. He looks at it every single day. And I go, Bob, you made your payment on the 1st, well, maybe the 25th. For the next 30 days, that isn't going to change. Why do you look at it every day? He said, my goal is to pay off my house in 7 years. And I look at it every day to remind me that's my goal. If you committed to me and said, I'm going to have an accountability partner by the end of this month, and then on November 1st, we run into each other and I go, so who's your accountability partner? Oh yeah, I remember when you talked Ignite. You know, there were so many people that teach Ignite that I forgot that I promised you I was going to do. That's right. And I did write it down. Where? In my Ignite folder. Oh, good. Can I tell you what happened? I just didn't look at it after that. And let me tell you why. I got busy. How important is having an accountability partner? Apparently not very important. Now, you thought it was when I harped on it. But then you forgot to ever look at it again. And that's why you didn't do it. Because you didn't look at it. I looked at my friend about paying off his mortgage in 7 years. And he had in calligraphy on his wall a little framed doohickey that said, people give up what they want most for what they want at the moment. I want to go to lunch with my buddies. Don't want to choose an accountability partner. They're going to laugh at me. Okay. All right, recaps and ahas. Before we do recaps and ahas, let me share with you another golden nugget. Open houses. Harder to come by. Okay, this lady, I'll bet you this lady's going to make, I'm just guessing 250,000 this will be, or maybe first full year in real estate. I could be off by 250,000. Okay. I know that because she was what Molly is, whatever Molly is. Okay. She sat in that same office. So I know that's how she was what Molly was. And so she helped people come to KW. And remember, I told you, whatever she shoots up with in the morning, I want some because she's so vivacious. Okay, her profit share on average is $1,000 a month. Just shut up. Makes me sick. Okay. And she loves her business, just absolutely loves her business. And I saw on the Facebook website, someone said, hey, I need to have someone do an open house for me on Saturday. She was the first one to answer and said, I will. And I went, really, Sid? You're a mom of teenage boys, I think 3 teenage boys. You're a councilwoman in Pleasant Grove. You already have $1,000 a month profit share. Your husband works. Honestly, you're going to hold an open house for another agent? Oh my gosh, you're so stupid. Oh yeah, really? Really? Okay.
I just
Remember
have
the
to
2 questions? At 8:31, you're going to ask yourself 8 o'clock every day. Remember them? Based on my performance yesterday, would I hire myself
Awesome.
today? And the second is, based on my performance yesterday, how much would I have paid myself? Sid's going to look successful to us, but that's because we're not following what she does. We don't realize she's busting her butt. She's posting with an open house sign. Oh, I get to do an open house today. All over social media. Do you think people know she's a realtor? Sometimes we're secret agents because we don't realize how exciting it is to be a real estate agent. We don't realize and this is what makes me mad. We don't realize, why can somebody sue me? We're dealing with their personal largest asset that they have no idea how to deal with. And the state only requires what? 50 hours of spoon-fed education? $450 an IR one? That's tragic. That's tragic. And because of that, the public sometimes looks at us that way, and sometimes we look at ourselves that way. Stop it. You're dealing with people's largest personal asset. You are important. You are a professional. You have value. And until you realize that, you can't be a Sid Malone, and you need to be a Sid Malone. Only your own Sid Malone. Your own Peter Morkel. Your own Angie Fisher. Okay? All right. Open houses. How many open houses can you sit on? Sit on as many as you can. Years ago, when they taught Ignite, there was an entire section, and Ignite was like, I don't know, 3 hours long or 4 hours long. Oh my gosh. And they had an entire section on open houses. Now that they make them shorter, I didn't know this, but they brought the open house section back. So I told Molly that I want to do the open house section. Okay, Angie Fisher will tell you open houses work. Sid Malone will tell you open houses work. So many agents will tell you open houses work. I'm going to tell you open houses work. Okay, I will tell you 2 open house stories, and I will tell you why you want to do open houses. Open houses are a win-win. The reason houses are a win-win is because sometimes back in the day, when the market gets normal again, all right, you'll sit in an open house and nobody will come by. 3 hours. Maybe one person. 3 hours. You're sitting there. One person comes by. And you can read story after story after story after story that the people that come by don't even buy that house. Why in the world are you sitting in an open house? Nobody's coming through. All right. Let me tell you why an open house is a win-win. An open house is a win-win because it gives you the opportunity to door knock around that open house to nosy neighbors. And you can say, I'm holding an open house. 30 minutes before the open house, I'm doing an neighbor come through my house so they can see what their neighbor's house looks like. And if you're curious about what it sells for, I will tell you when it goes under contract and once it closes, what it sells for. in case you want to know the real-time market value of your own home. So here's a flyer. I hope to see you. By the way, that 30 minutes, anybody in the neighborhood that comes by, I'm going to do a $50 JCW gift card certificate. I know that'll only get you a half a hamburger and part of a shake, but I'm going to do a $50 JCW gift card for everyone in the neighborhood that comes by. And that's on my flyer. And by the way, my name's Bart. I'm going to be hosting the open house. All right, now I have the open house. In this market, all you do is traffic control. But that's okay. You get their name, number, rank, you get their name, rank, and serial number, and you call them up. All right. Also, people usually shop over their own price. So they walk through that open house and it's $580,000 and they go, oh man, we're looking for a home under 500. Do you know what? Before I came to this open house, I did my homework and I found 3 houses similar to this one that were under 500,000. But I didn't bring them with me. If you want to text me your name and tell me you came to my open house, I will send you those 3 homes that are under $500,000. Do you think they want those 3 homes? Now you can give them to them right there, print it out, or just electronically send them to them, and you'll never hear from them again. Or you can literally have done your homework and know there are 3 homes under $500,000 that are very similar to the one that's 580. And now you're giving them value. I'll give you my name and number. Yeah, tell me what I'll text them to you. And if my day gets away from me today, I'll definitely text them to you on Monday. Great, thank you. You bet. By the way, my name is Bart Anthony. I'm with Keller Williams, and I did want to ask, are you currently working with a real estate agent? No, okay, good. Because if you were working with an agent, I would just simply text them to an agent. Since you're not working with an agent, I'm okay with that. I just want to make sure I'm texting to you. Are you okay if I send you them? Great, okay. And are you the one buying the house, or is it you and your husband? Okay, I just didn't know if you wanted me to use scripts or if I just wanted to tell you the answers of when someone walks into an open house and what script I might use. Because I don't want it to sound like a script because everybody hates scripts. But if I can give you an answer to meet your needs, you would like a house under 500,000, wouldn't you? That looks just like this one, wouldn't you? Great. I'll make sure I get those to you Monday at the latest. How many of you have memorized the answers to the most commonly asked real estate questions? R, D, and C. Rob, duplicate, and then customize. And if you practice scripts, and here's a great place to practice them. You know how you can download them on your phone? And they can be audible? Yes, you can. Okay, there's a link. Okay, then when you're in your car and you're just listening to them over and over and over again, you're going to use one of those answers. And when you walk away, you're going to go, oh my and heck. I just used a script and I got a listing. Because they're not scripts, they're answers to the most common real estate questions. So when I was a brand new agent, about Scott's age, because you're 35, right, Scott? Okay, about Scott's age. Yeah. When I was a brand new agent, I had no business. You guys probably haven't experienced that. So I decided to hold an open house. But I didn't have any listings. Shocker, huh? Plus, I didn't know what I was doing. Okay, if that sounds familiar, every one of you can grow up and be as old as I am. All right, so I went to my broker and said, hey, do you have a house to sit on? Do an open house for you? And he said, sure. So he had a house in Marcrest in Provo. I don't know how many of you are from around here, but Marcrest is a kind of HOA community that has single homes that are on the golf course for the Provo Country Club. And so I sat in this red brick Rambler, fully furnished, had a car in the garage. One person came through my open house. That person said, hey, if you visit with the seller, ask him if he'll trade this house for an apartment complex that I own in Orem. I said, okay. I'll ask him. So Monday, because brokers aren't in on Saturday, because only poor starving agents hold open houses. Remember the poor starving agents I'm telling you about? Right? Remember these poor starving agents? Where are they? Are they? Oh yeah, all these starving agents, right? Only they hold open houses, right? Okay. I visited with my broker on Monday. He said, I'll ask. Now, don't let this Mr. Mac haircut fool you. All right. I am definitely West Side trash. I was born and raised in the military. I have one brother that is truly, honestly, an indigent. He definitely lives under the viaduct in Des Moines, Iowa. Okay. And we all had long hair. I was the only one that graduated from high school out of my family. Okay. So when I sat on that home in Marcrest, and then I visited with the broker, and he said, the guy that owns it doesn't live here. This is just a second home for him. I'm blown away that people have that type of money. And there was a car in the garage. And he said he only comes to Provo 6 times a year. Okay, so why does he come to Provo? 6 times a year. Bingo. And he was old enough that he just didn't want to sell that house for an apartment complex. It sounded like a lot of work to him. So I shared that story in team meeting. And a female agent who's about a 4'11" tall, about 4'11" wide, killed the King's English when you talk to her. You're just going, honestly, Shirley, just kills the King's English. And yet she comes up to me and says, I have an investor coming in from out of town. If you could get that apartment complex listed, I might be able to have a buyer. Now, does that always happen? No. Does it seldom happen? Seldom is even optimistic, right? So I didn't know what I was doing. So I went to the owner of that apartment complex and said, hey, would you list this with me? He said, I'll do a single party listing. So I had to hurry up and look up what a single party listing was and said, sure, I'm fine with that. And so he signed all the paperwork. And because I was so new, I had him sign the paperwork correctly because I didn't know how many crooks there were in the world because I was young and didn't realize everyone will steal from you. And so when it came down to it, he really didn't want to pay me a commission, but because I had the listing agreement signed correctly, he had to pay me a commission. Thank you, Mr. Broker. Okay. He bought that apartment complex. In today's dollars, $10 million apartment complex. It was really $1 million back then, but $10 million apartment complex. That was my first sale in real estate, 90 days in. Where did I find him? Okay, so fast forward 5 years. I have starving children. My broker's phone's ringing off the hook. Nobody's calling me. I visit with a builder. He's building spec homes. I asked him if I could sit on the spec homes that he's building. He said, sure. And he was building them in a cul-de-sac, kind of little neighborhood. He had 3 homes at the same time going. I sat in one of the homes. And I think I sold 2 of the 3 homes in that cul-de-sac buyers. Maybe I sold all 3, but I'll just say I sold 2 of the 3. And the second one that I sold, a guy came in and he liked the house. So he said he'd buy it. I was able to write up the contract. He owned a home 4 blocks across the street, down the street, but he didn't want to sell it until he moved into his new home. I didn't know you could do that, okay? And so he did, and he bought the new home. And I stayed in contact with him. And then I saw these duplexes that were for sale because he said he invests in real estate. And there were 5 duplexes in a cul-de-sac. And they were, in today's dollars, $489,000, $490,000 duplexes, okay? And I visited with him and I said, hey, I just saw these 5 duplexes that came on the market. Would you be interested in buying one of them? He said, how much are they? I said, they're $489,000. He said, if he'll take $450,000, I'll buy all 5. I'll go ask. Okay. So he just bought all 5 of them. So that told him wasn't really a custom house, and he wasn't happy with it because it squeaked. So he called me up and he had me buy 2 lots in the neighborhood that he was in. And then he had a custom builder build him a home for $2.5 million on the 2 lots, way overbuilt for the neighborhood. When he wanted to sell the house, he called me up and asked me to put the house on the market. And I said, why? And he said he had bought a condo at City Creek. You know where City Creek is in Salt Lake? And I always used to say, now this isn't the case now because I am his exclusive real estate agent, but I also always used to say I'm his exclusive real estate agent when he doesn't use someone else, okay? Just because he just used to drive me crazy. So he bought a condo in City Creek for $2.5 million. And that was unit 301. And then he didn't have a place for his office. So he bought unit 302 and cut a hole in and could get from 301 to 302. And then he didn't have a place for his book. So he bought unit 303. And 302 was 1.5 and 303 was 800,000. Well, he ended up being tired of those and he wanted to sell it. So he listed it with City Creek open house people. And he got mad at him because he called me up and said, Bart, they're only using my condo to sell their specs. He said, I want you to march up there. I want you to take the listing away from them. And then when you get that listing, I want to significantly reduce the price so it will sell. And I'm thinking, well, you could use them and significantly reduce the price and it will sell, but why confuse the theory when the facts? So we ended up selling that. And so we then started looking for a home in Park City. And we were under 3 million and we couldn't find anything. So he said, go to 5 million. Went to 5 million, couldn't find anything. So I showed him 5 homes. I sent him 5 homes. I said, Dave, there are 5 homes. They're all over 5 million. I said, and that's expensive. He said, they're all expensive. But I said, we haven't been able to find anything that you wanted. Sure enough, he found a home, 10,000 square feet with an indoor pool for 6.5 million. He offered 5.5 million and he got it. Okay. Then I get a call on my way out to Eagle Mountain and it's Dave. And he said, Bart, where are you? I said, I'm on my way out to Eagle Mountain to see where I'm going to put a sign on your 219 acres so that we can get it sold. He said, okay. He said, I'm in this model home right now, and this agent asked me if I had an agent, and of course I have an agent. He said, talk to him, because I want to buy this house, and everything that he does, he's paying cash. So I talked to the agent, and I said, I'm Dave's real estate agent. We need to write a contract, I'll buy this house. And then when he got back on the phone, he said, oh, and by the way, I need to buy the one next door too, because I want my brother-in-law to live next to us. I said, okay, cash. Yeah, he owns some companies and he needed to buy a warehouse and it was 5 million. So he told me to help him buy that warehouse. So I helped him buy that warehouse. The next year later, he said, you know what? I don't want that warehouse. I need you to sell it. Ironically, I went back to the seller of that warehouse. Said, do you want to buy my client's warehouse? He said, yes, I'd love to buy that warehouse back. So I sold it to him. All of these stories are from the gentleman that I met at the home, spec home I was sitting on from a builder. Now, pretend nobody comes through your open house. Nobody. Think about this. For 3 hours, you're sitting there. And for 3 hours, you have the opportunity to open a computer and organize your week for next week. That means that the first thing you put on are family things. Next thing you put on are work things. And you have a total, complete calendar for next week. And you know all those people that call you, all those texts you need to get back to, all those things that you haven't completed, like I need to put her name with her husband's name in my database. I need to get that phone number. Oh, I need to look for homes for Cindy because she said she's really getting serious about buying. You know all that stuff that happens in the week? You're sitting at a open house for 3 hours and no one comes in. Do you realize if you organize all your data that you got from the week before, the name, rank, and serial number, everyone that you talked to the week before, you organize your week for the next week. Do you realize when you walk out of that open house, you don't have to think real estate until Monday morning Because when you open up your computer and your calendar is there, it is completely filled out to the nines on what you're going to do for that week. By far, the most productive 3 hours that you ever had were the 3 hours that you spent at the open house and organized your week and database and create the following week. Not counting the people that might come in. And that client that I told you who bought that house, that first house, and then did a 2.5 million. By the way, he had me list as 2.5 million. And I had to sell it in 07 for 1.2 million. Easy come, easy go. It's just cash. Okay. I didn't know he was a multimillionaire when he came through the open house. Besides having clients that come and help you buy and sell homes and you get business, do you realize if nobody walks in and your week is organized, do you realize how productive you can be the following week? That is why a day in the life of a real estate agent stand out. And after my first job of working with a busy company, a big company, and I worked at that mom and pop office, and I was new, and I listened to my broker's phone ring and ring and ring and ring. People come and listen, come and sell this. Oh, I need a condo for my child. Oh, I need to buy a summer home, all this. And my phone didn't ring and I was starving to death. It was because I was new and I hadn't paid the price of getting a database of sitting on open houses. And so go become a Peter Morkel, an Angie Fisher, a Sue Ann Hoffman, a Dan Kennedy. Any questions? Okay. Thanks for being here. And my number, 801-400-BART, if you need to get a hold of me, I'd be happy to answer any question. That's 801-400-278. A lot of times people think that that's cool marketing, but since this is the circle of trust, it's really an IQ thing. That's why I got that phone number, so I could remember it.